Back here on the show here quickly to get to these last couple recaps here on today's episode. We had to mention that the Browns beating the Baltimore Ravens. Each week in the NFL, there's at least, I feel like, two surprises that you don't really think are possible, honestly, but this one was one of them. This one fits the bill with the Browns defeating the Ravens 29-24 in Jameis Winston's first start, and also Ken Dorsey's, their offensive coordinator, his first time as the official play caller after Kevin Stefanski gave him the play calling duties. He relinquished them so Ken Dorsey would take them. And, all of those factors, Jameis, Ken Dorsey, they all aced their first test. The hardest first test you could ever face, right, with the Baltimore Ravens coming into your home stadium on the win streak that they were on. To put on this performance was, again, not an understatement on how just unbelievable this was. I did not think the Ravens were going to lose and, snap their 5-game win streak to the Cleveland Browns. They only get their second win of the season. To have it against the Baltimore Ravens now kind of tacks on to these losses that the Ravens have had. The first one to the Chiefs, not a bad loss, obviously, but then you have the losses to Las Vegas in Baltimore. That was pretty ugly because you gave up a comeback. And this one as well for a Browns team that had so many uncertainties, that was pretty down from Deshaun Watson and his injury and the fact that they were 1-6. To allow yourself to lose this game ultimately, those are bad losses on the record for the Ravens for how good they are. I think we have to bring up the defense a little bit, and we'll talk about them a little bit more going forward. But to that, to the fact here, actually, on Jameis Winston first, this is his first start since September 25th of 2022. It's the first time this year Cleveland has scored over 20 points, and Winston, just in one game with the Cleveland Browns, has put up over 300 yards passing, whereas Deshaun Watson, that's always going to be the comparison, in 19 games with the Browns has still yet to throw for over 300 yards. And this offense, completely night and day. I guess you could also say that maybe Ken Dorsey had something to do with that. That's something I guess you could use as an excuse, but I don't think that's the whole story, obviously. But the Baltimore Ravens defense, they were without Marlon Humphrey, without Nate Wiggins. Michael Pierce, he left the game in the second quarter with a calf injury on defense. He's also their nose tackle. So, those are big pieces that you're missing, right? Especially for a pass defense that's not very good to begin with. But still, this Browns team was, bottom of the barrel, right? We're talking about down there with the Panthers, and that's pretty much it, right down there with the Panthers on how bad this season was going for them. Despite them having great players, the season, the kind of play that we've seen, was not very good at all. So for this Ravens team to be down, I know, 3 starters basically for this game, I don't think that's much of an excuse, because I think the talent level, the way that the Ravens have been playing, is that much better that I felt they could overcome these injuries, but apparently not. And the way that this game played out was very exciting, because Cleveland, right out of the gate, stopped Baltimore on a 4th down conversion to start the game, and they got a field goal out of it, so they led 3-0. After Baltimore made it 3-3, it stayed that way until it was 6-3, and Kyle Hamilton strip sacked Jameis Winston at that point when it was 6-3, and it led to Baltimore scoring off of that drive, scoring a touchdown. And now they led 6-10 going into halftime. And the second half was just as exciting. It was a bit more back and forth because of the fact that the score got up to 20-17. And then it's kind of started to turn a little bit when Justin Tucker missed a field goal. And the Ravens, instead of tying the game, they kept it at 20-17. Cleveland tacked on another field goal. They go up by 6 points. But Baltimore would not go down without a fight, and they went 91 yards on 6 plays to score a touchdown that many might have thought was probably the ending of this game. It was 23-24, but Cleveland, not quitting, having Jameis Winston as their quarterback, the ultimate motivator, responded once again with their own 9-play, 69-yard drive that is capped off with Cedric Tillman's second touchdown of the game to go up 29-24 with 59 seconds left. I have to add that during this drive, the play that Cedric Tillman scored on, his second touchdown, the play before that, like literally the play right before the touchdown, Jameis threw a dart right to Kyle Hamilton's chest, and he sort of bobbled it, fumbled it, couldn't just corral it while it was thrown right at him, and he dropped the game-sealing interception. And while it was a crushing blow, obviously for the Ravens, but still, I don't really think they were thinking we're going to lose because of this drop. They probably still felt pretty comfortable, but the fact that the very next play, they throw a deep touchdown over the middle on a post route to Cedric Tillman was just such a gut punch to this team, because this game should have been over, right, if they just catch that interception. But, ultimately didn't pan out that way. But with 59 seconds left, the Ravens got pretty close to the end zone. They had two shots at the end zone where Lamar threw one to Zay Flowers. It kind of went over his head. And then the last one just kind of went out of bounds. And that was pretty much the ball game. The Browns hold on there in the end, riding their defense that was playing very well the entire game. It was the lowest rushing total, I believe, that they held Derrick Henry and the Baltimore Ravens just offense, just in terms of what Derrick Henry was able to produce in this game. And, just looking at the stats really quick here, and I have to bring up Jameis Winston, of course, just because he is part of this story. First, for the Baltimore Ravens side, Lamar almost threw for 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Derrick only ran for 73 yards, like I said, so definitely his lowest rushing total of the year. He did score a touchdown. Zay Flowers had another good game with 7 receptions for 115, but it ultimately did not prove to be enough because of this man right here. Jameis Winston, 334 yards, 3 touchdowns, threw the ball 41 times, and came away with a victory. Nick Chubb added 52 rushing yards, no rushing touchdowns for the Browns in this game, but Cedric Tillman, huge game for him. 7 receptions, 99 yards, 2 touchdowns. Elijah Moore also 8 receptions for 85 yards, and David Njoku and Jerry Jeudy also tagging on some great contributions as well. And for me, yes, it's an awesome win for Cleveland that I still believe that they pretty much punted on this year, but it does feel too late for them. This win could have been like a game-changing, kind of motivating victory to attack the rest of the season, but I still don't think they're really there. When you trade away a guy, like if they still had Amari Cooper, maybe I would be more inclined to believe that, but without Amari, I would find that very hard to believe that now they're going to turn the season around and try and make the playoffs. Watch me be wrong about that, but I'm pretty certain that they're not really going to be pushing for a playoff spot, really. But also because they have the toughest schedule this year on paper. And as for the Baltimore Ravens, the defense continues to struggle, especially against the pass. They gave up 8 of 15 third down conversions to a team that ranked dead last in the NFL on converting on third downs. The Browns were only converting on 23% of their third downs, and against the Ravens, they converted on over 50%. I don't care who the quarterback is. I don't care who the play caller is. If your defense is really that good, you're going up against a team that's last in converting third downs. At most, I could give you 40 or 30%. At most 40. But to give up over 50, that's too much. Is for any team to give up over 50% on third down conversions. It's really hard to win that way, especially when your defense is struggling in the secondary, especially. Also, with the Ravens, credit to Cleveland for their defensive performance, but the Ravens also only converted on 20% of their third downs in this game. They were 2 of 10, so it's like they almost switched. The third down conversions that we usually see for the Ravens went to the Browns, and the Browns' third down conversion, usually that we see them around 20-23% was what the Ravens generated in this game. So very odd as well. Derrick Henry didn't really see too much action. They passed a lot in this game, which I wasn't that big of a fan of also. But the Ravens also won the turnover battle, and it definitely could have been more. But I feel like with this Ravens team, the fact that the offense kind of became a little bit pass happy in this game, which I didn't like. I don't know. I'm not going to say Derek's hurt or anything, but he should have seen the ball a little bit more, I believe. That's just my opinion, but I feel like this defense needs a lot of help for the Ravens. They need this offense to score 24, 23 plus points because of the fact that they've been in so many high scoring games. Could you imagine if the offense would have had like an off day and they might have only scored like 17 or 16 points for a week or two, that this Ravens team would still be around 500. This defense needs one or more turnovers, to get those lopsided victories. We saw it with Tampa Bay. They got a couple picks off of Baker, but even that was only a 10-point game. The turnovers they generated against Dak, that still was only a 3-point game. And then you look at their other high-scoring games: Washington, Cincinnati, Dallas. They were all close games. Baltimore's defense allowed no fewer than 23 points in all of those games. So, in any game, Baltimore, their offense seems to have at least 24 points to be capable or feel safe that this Ravens defense isn't going to give up more than that, because they've pretty much given that in all of their games except one against the Browns and against the Bills, where they just dominated them. Or not the Browns, but the Bills basically. So, it's not anything that we're freaking out like the Ravens are frauds or anything, but it is something to pinpoint, to at least consider it being the main point of emphasis the next couple weeks going forward, right? We have to fix this, because a championship level team offense like the Ravens have can't be giving up these late quarter, comebacks, these scores at the end of the game, not being able to close teams out. You brought Derrick Henry in to close these games out because you felt your defense was a little bit better. They still have good players. They just have to play up more to their ceiling, I would say, because I think they've allowed like 17 or 14 fourth quarter touchdowns, and that's the most in the NFL by far, compared to the 6 that's the next highest up. So that's obviously a problem. This pass defense, once their starters come back, it is going to be better. So you have that to look forward to, but it is something that we just have to put a marker on just for now, because again, if you're going to win the Super Bowl, if we're going to hold you to that high of regard, that's not a stat that you can have associated with you and your defense. So the Browns, still great win for them. Jameis, great to see him, winning this game as well. Just for his story and everything like that, I thought it was cool to see. But a surprise victory for the Browns, but not as big as a surprise as this last segment, where the Commanders stole the show, stole the weekend with their Hail Mary victory over the Chicago Bears. It was only 18-15, but that last play stole the show. We're going to talk about it a little bit here to end today's show when we return after our last break.